Some people come to the mall to do shopping. I come to the mall to look at plants. Hello my friends, we are at my local mall, which also happens to be my favorite mall. And normally people come here to do shopping, but I come here to look at the plants because the plants in here are insane. But let me just show you. And when I talk about plants in this mall, I'm not just talking about your normal fiddle leaf figs. I mean, they're not even normal, they're actually pretty well looked after for a fiddle leaf fig in the mall, right? But this mall is like a tropical paradise. While we're on the escalator, shout out to Timmy for filming. Hello team. And yeah, I love this mall. So when I first moved to Australia, I kind of always lived in this area. When I first moved to Australia about 11 years ago, I lived really close to this mall, so I would always come here and was always fascinated like by the shops and the things that they sell over here. But these days I couldn't care less about the shops. I'm just here for the plants. Now the other weird thing about this mall, or it's not so weird for me anymore, but when I first moved to Australia, it's an open mall, like it's open air, so it is whatever weather is outside, it is in here as well. But yeah, we're getting really close to the plants, so let's have a look. Right, this is Warringah Mall. It's in Brookvale, near Manly, in case you're in Sydney. They renovated maybe 3 or 4 years ago, I think, so this used to not exist. And when they renovated, they put these ginormous concrete pillars in here. And they put a whole lot of plants on here, and I really saw it turn from like these weird concrete pillars into really, really nice, lush, tropical pillars. And as I mentioned before, it's partially outside, so not the whole mall is outside, but it's not fully covered. I mean, you can see the blue sky right there. So the conditions over here are definitely sheltered, but fairly similar to my garden, for example, as well. So I'm taking a lot of inspiration from this mall for my own plants in my garden. So let's have a look at what thrives over here. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed the tour. Let's just start with the first pillar over here. So we've got some pothos down there, and we're gonna go down later. Then we've got some ferns growing everywhere. I'm not too sure about this one, but it looks kind of really crinkly. We've got some really beautiful blue star ferns. I really, really, really want some of those for my garden. And then it looks like some philodendrons, maybe some Hoyas mixed in there as well. But I mean, this looks crazy lush, right? And then down below, we've got some of these beautiful palms. I just forgot their name. We're gonna get a closer look. So let's get down there. Alright, next pillar over here. So we've got some Somatophyllum Xanadu, and this one is really close, so we can actually have a closer look at it. If we go in here, have a look at this. So it's all supported by like this, it's like a felt box almost. I don't know if you can see that. This is like a felt box, and then they plant it in here. But look at the roots. All of this is aerial roots coming from some of these Somatophyllums. Xanadus. It's crazy. Some beautiful Hoyas here as well. I'm really not a Hoya person, but when they're growing like this in like a lush display, I think they're really nice. Like a nice filler, you know, it gives it volume. I'm just not a fan of them growing in like a pot with like 4 leaves or whatever. It needs to be a lush display, but I absolutely love these Somatophyllums. And if we pan up, look how many there are. I just got a couple of those for my backyard as well, so I'm really excited to see them grow. If we're moving around, over here we've got a huge philodendron. Ooh, not entirely sure about the name, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, have a look at this. If we come in close again, we can over here again see the felt boxes quite nicely. Over here, this is just like these felt boxes. And then you can see there must be some drip irrigation in the back because it's all nice and moist. But what I wanted to show you, look at how thick this stem is of that philodendron, and then it just keeps climbing up here, climbs all the way up, all the way up, all the way up. It's beautiful. That's that other column again, and I spotted a little Untitled in there as well. And some heart-shaped philodendron. All right, let's move to the next column. Some more Xanadus over here. Some kind of jungle cacti vibes. And look how cool this is. We've got a staghorn over here. And I love this palm. And look how cool the palm is just growing on this felt thing as well. And look at the new fronds coming in at the top. That looks insane. That's beautiful. And more Xanadus at the top. They're definitely taking over. They seem to be having a good time growing here. And over here, oh, this one is even in flower. Beautiful. I mean, you probably really need to take a step back to see the full impact of the column, right? Because it's really nice to see so close up, but I love how majestic and huge it looks as an overall like structure. Super pretty. I love these ferns. And then if we're just turning around, there's another column over here and these really nice chairs. I think we're gonna have a better chance looking at this one from downstairs. So let's keep going. This is what I think of when I say mall plant, and this is what we were given. So much better, right? Definitely not your average mall. Another beautiful pillar over there. Some philodendron. I'm actually really terrible at plant ideas. I don't actually know that many. Look, this is where we came from. So those are where these other columns are. Right, let's keep going. Alrighty, next column over here we've got another Xanadu. This one seems to be quite mature, super, super pretty. Some more plants, they're getting a bit sun stressed. Now this is really the open part of the mall. Little courtyard down there. And again, I just need to remind you that this is the coldest and darkest time of the year. And these plants are all just out there, thriving in the open. I mean, the pillars have a little bit of shelter from this roof, but temperature-wise, that roof is not going to do anything to it. So once they adapt, plants can definitely grow in Sydney's temperatures. It's just a plant that has grown indoors its whole life. Might have a little bit more of a challenge to adapt. Oh, this is pretty. Some ferns, some Hoyas. And then have a look at those. And you see these like sun-stressed Hoyas over there. And we've got some Ripsalis over here. Some nice variety of plants, right? We've got ferns, we've got Hoyas. it's nice. There's another nice staghorn over here. And some blue star ferns. Very lush, very lush. And we've got some syngoniums, some heart-shaped philodendron. Oh, there's one said Adansonii leaf. Oh. Well, didn't survive. Actually, quite interesting. So this side of the pole would get less sun exposure or no direct sun exposure. So the blue star fern is much bluer than on the other side of the pole. It didn't appear as blue. So must be something with sun exposure. So something to keep in mind for my own backyard. That is just so nice, isn't it? So let's get down there somehow, right? Let's go. Look at this, even a maidenhair fern. They're known for being notoriously tricky to deal with. Oh, look at this. We made it to the bottom level of the mall and look what I found. Somebody must have gone in and platted the aerial roots. How cool is that? I love that. Clearly not the only one showing interest in the plants. Everybody else is really distracted with the shopping, but how could you possibly think about shopping when you're surrounded by plants like that? Those are some decent syngonium leaves. So we're at the bottom level now, and this is away from the sun as well. So this would get the most shade, and they're actually thriving way more in the shade than they are in direct sun. That's what we're talking about. As you know, when we say bright indirect light, it doesn't mean full sunlight. It means that it's bright, but it's indirect. Right? But you can tell, like, I mean, these plants are growing on this side as well as on the other side, so they're quite tolerant to different conditions. You just might get different leaf size, different shades of green and so on, depending on the conditions that the plant grows in. So nature will always find a way to survive. All right, so over here we can really get a better look at the structure of it all. So we've got these like felt boxes, and it's just filled with soil in here. And then they are kind of, you know, put onto these metal, or they're drilled into these concrete pillars. And then they've got all of this wiring over here, and then there's a little bit more wiring up top as well. And that really provides the plants with like the infrastructure to climb or trail and so on. And all of this is then also automated using some sort of irrigation system. So it must go all the way up, and then it just must drip down through these. So you can see the algae buildup. There's definitely some sort of irrigation system working on it. Oh, look at that, we've got an Adansonii. Must be some sort of jungle cactus over here. Look at that, if you just pan up, look at the variety of plants. Look at the colors, the different shapes, the different textures. I really, really love these fern trees that are nestled in there. I love that. I love the variety. That's beautiful. A little example of not everything thriving. So this is the little section right under the escalator. And this is a little too far off bright indirect light. It's just no longer bright. It's no longer indirect. That's literally just shade. So some plants, the ones in the back, they're like dumb kinds, I think that's what they're called. They're still okay, but you know, you can see the Aglaonemas, even though they are usually very shade-tolerant plants, this is just too little light for them. You can see this is a pothos, and it's just not doing anything. If you would give that pothos better conditions, more light, it would grow huge. I mean, look at this ZZ plant. We always talk about ZZ plants being so tolerant, right? But if you don't give it light, even the most tolerant plant is gonna die eventually. Alrighty, we're downstairs from that first pillar. Some really beautiful monsteras. And even in bloom, look at this, it's growing a huge flower. And you can see, I mean, they're not provided with a moss pole over here. With deliciosas, they really can go either way. If you provide them something to climb on, they'll climb. If you don't provide them something to climb on, they'll crawl, right? I mean, look at this down here. You can see these are not climbing, they're crawling along the floor, but they're still producing huge leaves, right? So, deliciosa, if you provide, first and foremost, for large leaves, you need to provide them with good light conditions. Support is just extra. Remember how I showed you the little pothos over there under the staircase before, doing nothing? Just about, I don't know, 20 meters further down here, but in great light conditions, this is Pothos aurea. Ooh, it's a bit, needs a little wipe. But look how huge it is, and look how thick the stem has gotten over here. I mean, look at how thick the stem has gotten here. That is crazy. And this one is the Licuala grandis. I love those. And they're known for having these perfect round fan-like fronds. Suppose you would really have to grow them in an area where there's hardly any wind, so they don't get damaged. More golden pothos on the sides of the stem. They do have some maintenance to do for sure. Some horsehead philodendron. Right, we moved into the open courtyard, so we've been here before, we were just on the top level. Now we're down here. Now this is in full sun, and you can really see that the leaves are actually smaller than in that section before, because if it's too much sun, if the plant would grow really large leaves, it would expose more of it to the sun, so it doesn't make sense. You can see that these are also a little sun stressed for sure. Over here, this is nice. Lots of little flowers on this plant. No idea what it is. If you know, please leave an ID. And this seems to be some sort of jungle cactus, like Christmas cactus about to bloom. Anybody knows the IDs? Leave a comment down below with a timestamp. I'm useless. Alright, some more nice plants, some birds of paradise. I've got some in my garden as well. More of these beautiful palms. It's nice, but you can see over here they are a little less sheltered and they keep ripping, so fair enough. It looks a little unhealthy, I don't know, something is not 100% with it, but that's okay. Staghorn. But I'm still so overwhelmed by these Xanadus. I think they're the sickest. Again, in a little darker spot, you can see they're getting a little leggier, little gangly. I don't know if that's a word. Smaller leaves, just because they get less light, because there is a slab of concrete above. Alright, there's just one more thing in this mall I want to show you. So all of this was actually in the new part. In the old part, they have one really nice display as well that I think I want to show you. And look at these, so beautiful. So we've got a jacaranda tree in the middle of the mall. Again, jacaranda is the one with the beautiful purple flowers. A sea of Monstera deliciosa. And then some pothos as a ground cover. I think this looks so nice. Alrighty, that was my little tour. I hope you enjoyed it. I want to give a shout out to Eric, also known as United Nature Design on Instagram. I was in touch with him and he was heavily involved in creating this, this beautiful mall, or at least the planty installation within the mall. And I would love to collaborate with him a little more. I would love to actually go up and visit him in Brisbane, look at some of the other projects he's worked on, maybe have a look at his private collection as well. So if that's something you'd be interested in, leave a comment down below and I'll hit him up. The company that was involved in creating these installations is called VITA, and I'll leave their Instagram down below as well. I really love the idea of nature meeting an urban space. Like, yes, I love nature. I love to go in the bush and just go on a true nature walk, but I'm really fascinated by us as humans integrating nature into our spaces and making them just nicer, more enjoyable. That's what really fascinates me. That's what I want to achieve with my apartment. That's what I want to achieve with my garden. So I'm heavily inspired by places like this. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, and leave a nice comment, and I'll see you next time. Bye.